Well, good morning and a very warm welcome to another edition of the Fells of Great Britain. Now, when Alfred Wainwright completed his Lakeland guides in 1966, he turned his attention to other fells in the north of England and wrote two other guidebooks, the first of which was on the limestone country in Yorkshire, and the second of which was on the Howgill fells that lie north of Kendal on the eastern side of the M6 as it wends its way up through the Lune Gorge to Carlisle. And today I've decided to walk on the fells that lie opposite the Howgills, and this is the Whinfell Ridge where I am today. So let's take a look at the route, and I'll say more in due course. The Lake District National Park lies in the northwest of England in the county of Cumbria. Our walk today starts in the Lune River Valley Gorge just south of the town of Tebay on the M6. From the small parking area in Borrowdale Wood, we head initially west on a clearly defined path into the valley of Low Borrowdale. This path follows the course of Borrow Beck. We continue now along the course of the valley into some woodland, looking for a turning on the left, a faint path that will take us to the ridge of Whinfell. The path to the ridge is clearly defined and we get some splendid views opening up to our rear as we ascend. At the summit there are two rather unsightly telecommunications antennae, but the views to the north and the south are nonetheless quite splendid. We now head west to our summit for the day, Whinfell Beacon. From the summit we gain spectacular views north into Low Borrowdale and south across to the town of Kendal and the southern Lakeland fells. Our descent is made initially northwest to Whinfell Common, and then at White Moss we descend the fell heading due west to Borrow Beck. At this location on the beck there are unfortunately no bridges, and so we must find a suitable location to cross by foot, or if one is unlucky, to paddle across. We can now pick up the main valley path and head east back towards the start of the walk. During this last leg of our hike we enjoy wonderful scenery and a very peaceful atmosphere. Low Borrowdale is seldom visited by walkers and hikers. It's a little known beauty spot hidden in Lakeland. The route covers around 6.5 miles and involves an ascent of about 1,000 feet. Depending upon how long one loiters in order to enjoy the views, the walk will take anywhere between 4 and 6 hours to complete. Now this whole area is quite fascinating because we're looking here at a valley that's called Borrowdale. Now those of you who walk the fells in Lakeland will know that Borrowdale is the wonderful valley that stretches from Keswick south along Derwent Water to Honister Pass, and it's a famous road route that will take you to all of the ascent paths up the highest mountain in England, Score Fell. But this Borrowdale is lesser known, in fact unknown to many people. I certainly didn't know of its existence. And it lies here nestled between the A6 in the west and the M6 in the east. And what you're looking at now is a valley, beautiful valley, that you simply can't see unless you walk onto Whinfell, where I am now. It's not visible from any of the roads. It's entirely hidden and very unspoilt. Now, Whinfell Beacon is that little knob of high ground that you can just about see on this camera. And not far from it, around here, is the modern day equivalent, a telecoms mast. Lovely parallel here between the old way of communicating and the new. Now, in Wainwright's guides, these pylons were unsightly horn antennas that were used by British Telecom in the days of telecommunication across the country by microwave. But now they're all part of the telephone system, the cellnet system. So these masts are somewhat less intrusive in the landscape, but unsightly nonetheless. And Wainwright hated them. But they're necessary. The video I'm making now and your ability to view it, all three of you, is dependent on this technology. So panning around now, we've got an ever-improving view of Borrowdale Valley. It really is quite immense, actually, rather bigger than I thought, and rather more open. So here we are at the modern beacon. This rather unsightly telecoms mast, and there's another one over there. No chance of flying the drone here. I think we'd get some interference. So just up ahead there you can see Whinfell Beacon. It looks quite a way off in the distance. Now, coming over here, we get these lovely views opening up down in the direction in the where are we looking? We're looking south, and over there somewhere is the town of Kendal. There we are. You can just see it. I've just spotted it there, just lying in a little bit of a groove in the landscape. But this part of the Lake District was once not a part of the Lake District. It was just in Cumbria, formerly known as Cumberland. And I don't know when this area was incorporated into the national park, but the Howgills and this ridge I'm on now, Whinfell, is part of the Lake District National Park these days. Beautiful sheep there. Not herdwicks, not characteristic of the of Lakeland. Looks as though that sheep over there is a bit lame. Yeah, oh dear. So we've got a path here that's taking me down, and I don't think this is correct, so I'm going to have to consult the map. Now, you'll have seen in the route description that this walk starts very close to the M6 in what is known as the Lune Valley or the Lune Gorge. It really is that steep. And the M6 runs through this gorge from Kendal to Carlisle. And it was a very difficult road to construct because the Lune Valley is a very lonely place. The ground is poor. And for most of its history, it's been uninhabited. I did some reading on this and discovered that the Lune Gorge was completely uninhabited at the time of the Romans, and the Romans set up a garrison very close to where this walk starts to defend this route, this north-south route that granted access to marauding and invading Scots and others into the territory claimed by the Romans. And they manned this garrison until the 5th century, when the Roman Empire receded and the Romans left our shores. And for the next 1,000 years, the Lune Valley was completely unoccupied. And then in 1468, the Crown decided that this again was a navigable route by Scots, and they needed to defend it in some way or to have some means of raising the alarm if tribes invaded the valley. And so where I'm walking to today, Whinfell Beacon, this is a fell that gets its name, a beacon, from this history. This fell was used as a location for a fire beacon in the 15th century, and hundreds of these were set up on high ground going east, west, in the northern part of England as a means of communicating an invasion from the north by the Scots. And it's quite fascinating, isn't it, that in those days there was no telecommunication, there were no railway systems, no roads, and the way to get messages and to raise the alarm across the countryside was to light fires on the tops of hills. Oh, another one, but not a stile, a stairway, and for me, a stairway to heaven. Gosh, it's a bit rickety. Not as pleasant as it looks. So I think I've found a bit of a path. It's not very clear. But it's very pretty up here. Lovely views. Over there towards Kendal, you can see in the far distance there, you can see the sea in the direction of Morecambe Bay. And our objective is coming into view. path seems to wander all over the place. We're riding the contours. Now, I did read somewhere that sometimes one can be misled on paths because some of these very faint paths are not paths at all. They're actually sheep tracks. And I read in this book on how to read the landscape that if when you're on a track like this you find lots of sheep poo, then it's likely to be a sheep track and not a public right of way. I suppose the assumption here is that people don't crap on paths. Anyway, I digress. Pressing on. Can't hold the camera and open a gate. So here we are. We open out now onto the last little push to the top of the beacon. But we're already getting these magnificent views back down through Borrowdale. Over there in the distance is the Lune Gorge. You wouldn't believe it, but the motorway, the M6, sits in that gorge, and thankfully one can no longer hear it. Finally, the cairn is in view. Oh, finally we're here. Oh. So here we are then at the top of Whinfell Beacon. So let me show you what I can see whilst sat here having a sandwich. There are some fabulous views to be had. So let me just talk you through some of those if they come out on the camera. Let's hope so. Well, this isn't the best vantage point after all to point things out. So I think I'll leave naming the fells until a bit later in the walk, depending on what kind of views I get on the way down. So I've just started the descent off this fell, and from here we've got a much better vantage point, a much better place to view the fells looking into Lakeland there. So in the centre of view you can clearly see now Great Gable, Crinkle Crags, Bow Fell, Esk Pike, and the Coniston Fells, which look really quite large from here. And then in the foreground we've got these lovely rolling fells and some farmland. It's lovely how the green, it's almost a velvet carpet of green that lines the valley floor and then rolls on up onto the fells and the terrain and the vegetation change along the way. Really quite splendid. So over there is the remainder of this circular walk. But unfortunately I think I'm running out of time today, and I do need to finish a little earlier than normal because I have to get back. So the route that you saw at the beginning of this walk is the entire circuit. It's about 8 miles or so, and that's the one I recommend. But what I'm going to do now is try and find my way back down into the valley so that I can walk back to the car. So I'm not today going to go on to the A6 and then turn round and come along the entire length of Borrowdale Valley. I'm going to cut the walk in half, but the practical problem is that there are no marked paths showing me the way down. So I'm just going to walk off-piste and hope that I don't get confronted by obstacles along the way. Normally you can walk anywhere in the fells, but you have to read the map and make sure that you've got no dry stone walls in the way that might not have any crossing points, any stiles over them. They can be a major problem if you don't plan for them. So I'm hoping to find a route back down that doesn't involve any walls crossing my path. So doubtless I'll see you a little while later. Right, so where do we go now? Not exactly clear. This is where the route would continue, but that's not what I want at the moment. Right, okay. Time to look at the map, I think. See what I mean about these walls? Very difficult to climb over without the presence of a stile. So I'm just hoping that this very faint path here will take me back down to the river, which you can see in the distance there, shimmering in the sunshine. Quite splendid. I'm not a big fan of walking off-piste. Now we're coming to a little bit of a brow here, so I'll get more of an indication of whether this is doable. Let's just have a look over here. Well, it's looking pretty steep. I can see a wall. Yeah, well, not sure about this. So I think I'm on some kind of a path now. Hopefully this will take me down to the river. There's another area of bracken growing. Look course, bracken is problematic in the summer. It is the habitat of the common tick, which can carry Lyme's disease. So never ever walk through bracken with shorts on and exposed skin. If you pick up a tick, you could also pick up the infection. Coming up then, my favourite hiking feature for old people like me. They're wretched things. A stile. And at my age, I just don't cross them in style. Let's have a go. Oh. Let's hope there aren't too many of those. But we've got some lovely plant life going on here. It's that time of year, isn't it? We had the bluebells that I saw last week at Borrowdale Knots. And now we've got the cotton grass coming out. I don't know if it's visible. It's quite lovely. A little bit of colour in what would otherwise be a very colourless landscape, really. See if it's in focus. Hope so. So, pleasure to be found all around. The sun's gone in now, it's a bit chilly. So I was going to say something about the M6, which is a remarkable road. That stretch that runs through the Lune Gorge, as I've said, was very difficult to construct, and it took 5 years, I believe. It was built between 67 and 72. And just to bear out its importance as a geographical feature, it's been a line of communication, as I said earlier, for a very long time. The Romans established this garrison in the valley, and then in the let's just move the camera down a bit. Too far. And then in the 1840s, 1846, in fact, the first railway was run through the valley from Lancaster to Carlisle. And then 30 years later, in 1876, another railway was built, linking effectively Manchester, but the famous leg of this route was ran from Settle to Carlisle, and that's a very famous railway because in the beaching cuts in the 1960s, it was one of those routes that was earmarked for closure. And there were such public protests over the loss of this railway that eventually it was taken over, I think, by a charity, and then the government decided to fund it. And so the Settle to Carlisle Railway, which still runs through the Lune Gorge, is a tourist route now, and I plan at some point to go on that route because there are some fabulous viaducts along the way, one of which is the Ribble Viaduct at the foot of a mountain called Whernside. And if any of you are interested, on my channel there is a video I made of that back in the days before I started doing any vlogging, so it's an entirely silent movie, just involving some drone footage in and around that area. Really is quite splendid, and occasionally steam trains run the route, and these are much sought after by railway enthusiasts.
Shadow in the dark left me with a burning heart. Summer comes and goes, they say, but will you die?
Now, just 10 days ago, in my last video, I was on Crummock Water visiting the Ramladale bluebells, and in amongst the bluebells we were beginning to see the first shoots of this season's bracken. And I mentioned in the video that this plant grows at a ferocious pace, and here we are just a week later, and sure enough we've got these shoots, these green shoots, beginning to come out, and they will grow literally inches per day. And this fell that I'm on now, this slope, will just be covered in bracken within the next couple of weeks. It's a phenomenal plant. You can see over there more clearly, there's a whole stand of them coming through. Well, this is proving to be a real ordeal. It's you've got an incline in two directions, so your feet are riding on their sides. It's really bad on the toes. Sorry to keep going on about the bracken, but I am so impressed by this. These stems are about a foot high now, and they would have come out in just 10 days because they were nowhere to be seen when I last walked on the fells. Extraordinary. I need one of those David Attenborough time-lapse videos to show just how quickly these things grow. Wonderfully adapted to our climate and to this terrain. Almost back at the river, but it's a mixed pleasure because, as you can see, the path is on the other side of the river and there don't seem to be any bridges or any proper stepping stone areas, so I might struggle just a bit. So I think my best bet is to head down there. I think I'll probably be able to ford it there. At least the grip is quite good today. So am I going to need to take my shoes and socks off? Let's see. Right, well, I managed to cross the stream just up there, about 50 yards or so. It was a bit dicey, but I managed to get through without getting wet. But the next problem is a fence that we've got running along the river, and I do not want to damage it. Let me just show you. So it runs all the way along here. And I think I might have an opportunity to just walk along this wall and then hop over the wooden area there without damaging it. So let's hope that works out okay. Right, well, we're back on the path, and this will take me right out of Borrowdale now, back to the car. And I'm glad I was able to get over that fence without doing any damage. I hate even entertaining the possibility of damaging farmers' property. Wonderful lambs, looking a bit bigger now. Obviously born a while ago. Just enjoying the sunshine. Lovely rural site. I've seen more sheep than people today. wonderfully quiet. Back within earshot of the motorway now. Well, I'm on the path back to the car. I've just stopped here because there's just this delightful little patch of bluebells here. Absolutely beautiful. You get this again and again in Lakeland. If you keep your eyes peeled, they're just wonderful things to see. Well, this brings me to the end of today's walk. I do hope that you've enjoyed it and got something from it. I certainly have. Borrowdale is a hidden gem nestled between two fine fells, Whinfell and the Howgill fells. And few people visit it, few people know about it. Wainwright wrote about it. And I hope that during this video, many of you watching will think about coming here to visit this secluded and peaceful place. Until next time then, bye for now.